Hey guys, welcome back to another one of these time-lapse, like proper full time-lapse videos. Time-lapse commentaries, that's right, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so this is the final image, and I will, let's just jump into it. Alright. So, I kind of just was... this one took a little more pre-thought of like what I was going to draw. Obviously it's not anything too complex, it's just a full body pic instead this time. Yeah, I was kind of roughing out the anatomy because like last time I did the, just the headshot, and it's been a little bit since I did proper anatomy. I have worked on a few thumbnails in between then and now, but the getting all the proportions and stuff right, that's just kind of, you kind of get a feel for it, and I'm a little bit rusty because I took like a month or two off before I got back to doing a lot of art. Whether I intended to do that or not, separate issue. But yeah. So here you can kind of see I'm trying to just rough out a shape here with a my construction layer that eventually turns into a sketch, because that's just the weird way I draw. Getting the general shape down of the torso here. Figuring out how the pecs are gonna look. Messing up because I'm planning on putting the arm up, so the right pectoral muscle is not gonna be that shape, so I'm gonna change that in a bit once I realize my mistake and why everything looks wrong. But yeah, like as far as like tips for anatomy, like I don't know. I don't even think I have that great anatomy. I should probably like practice it more, but every time I kind of fiddle with it a little more. Honestly, this time I kind of rushed things a bit. I think I got some of the anatomy a little bit off, especially when it comes to like the mid-torso. I'm blanking on the name of the muscles underneath the pecs on the side, but I'm realizing now I completely neglected to draw those in, and like the kind of gap between the pecs and the abs and stuff is awkward, not the way I would draw it now. I don't know. It's fine. Picture is fine. The anatomy isn't perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. I was just kind of... I don't know, I wanted to draw something. It's nothing too complicated, nothing too fancy, so... I guess it's like another warm-up. I need to like actually have a plan for a more detailed picture, because like something like the rain pic I drew a while back, I want to do more stuff like that where I have more going on, and probably put more detail in, but man, small background details, that stuff takes forever. But yeah, you can see I'm carving out the general shape for stuff right now. I think I end up... I redo the back a few times. I think I'm gonna redo the back again before too long. Okay, yeah. Getting the hair. The hair actually came together pretty quickly here. It's a little lively. I don't mind it. I think I end up adding an extra sort of part that sticks out up top when I do the lines layer later, but yeah. I also think something about the upper torso, there's a thickness inconsistency. Like either I made the arm too muscular, or I don't know, something was off with it as well. But whatever. I probably shouldn't spend these commentaries like showing you all of my mistakes in the afterwards. I just kind of, I don't know, talk about my process here, I suppose, where like, yeah, you can see I'm kind of like, it's both construction layer and sketch, And like, it's kind of built on bad habits of like erasing the construction and building a sketch into it. Like, you should probably make those two separate steps, because that way, like, a lot of the advantage of moving from layer to layer is that you can kind of refine the shape, because you don't ever want to commit too hard to the layer below. Having a new layer that you're working and building fresh from gives you an opportunity to refine, like, either the shape of anatomy, or like refine the pose of like a limb or something, or just stuff like that. I think that's kind of a rut that I wouldn't say, I guess, newer intermediate artists can kind of fall into, where they feel that they need to kind of closely copy their lower layers and that the lines are just the cleaned up version of the sketch. The advantage of having construction and then sketch and then lines, maybe even multiple stages in between those, is it lets you get a sort of more natural, and like, it gives you an opportunity to like zone in on what feels less natural, just intuitively, from what anatomy feels wrong, or what a pose seems not quite right, and it lets you make those fine adjustments as you go on like a wider scale. Because a lot of times, if you start trying to get those adjustments, kind of, you're trying to eye them in as you either are at your final layer, or when you're starting off and you're over fixating on getting the shape right on the construction layer, you can kind of end up zooming in and hyper fixating on one area, and then things look completely off and whatnot. But yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of, the construction layer is basically obliterated. It is now a sketch. But yeah, it's my bad habits. Don't do as I say, not as I do when it comes to that. You will be better served. Yeah, like here, I'm continuing to clean it up into a sketch. And it's my way. I kind of visualize like carving the sketch out of the construction layer, if that makes sense. If you imagine, I'm just lumping it down like a piece of clay, and then I'm just making big thick lines and then slicing off to try and find the actual line that I want. And then here going onto the line layer, and now I'm actually just using that carving in some places as kind of a guide. But yeah. And then like the big thing for lines, honestly, it also applies to sketches too. You're gonna have to accept that when you first start getting, start doing lines, things might look a little shaky. I recommend turning on stabilization. As you can see over there, I have stabilization set to, what is that, 20? This is a little small on my screen, so it's kind of hard to read it. I can just open up, 26. Because I don't feel like messing with OBS. And like, that's usually pretty good. Some people try to adjust it up and down, because the trade-off with stabilization is it makes your drawing, the line kind of lag behind where you're actually drawing, and it can feel a little unnatural if you're not used to it, but it gives you much smoother lines. However, that can be to a detriment if you want fine points. You can even just look at like that sketch layer on the hair, the rounded edges to the hair, is a consequence of having stabilization on my pen when I was doing it. And you don't really need stabilization when you're doing a sketch. I'm just kind of lazy, as I said before. If you're doing a sketch just to like post that as a sketch, I recommend maybe turning stabilization down, or keeping that in mind when you're trying to make fur patterns and do what I do when I do lines here, as you can see. Sometimes I let the rounded bit kind of stay, but usually I try to terminate the line and start another line to bring it to a finer point. Here I'm being a little lazy and letting it be rounded, and that's, you know, that's sloppy, and I probably wouldn't do that for, you know, a piece that someone else, a commission or something. Or if I was trying to do like a nicer, higher quality picture, but yeah. Because it looks better when you have two lines merged together than having that stabilized sort of roundedness. I feel like I was on a tangent there and that I was making a point. Right, stabilization, shakiness. The big thing, and this can even work if you like prefer not to have stabilization at all. The biggest thing to be able to have like confident lines, or even like confident lines in a sketch or something, is just that, it's confidence. And it's gonna look bad or wrong or whatever when you first try and do it. And all I can tell you is you just have to keep practicing drawing one line confidently. Because like a trap that a lot of beginner artists, they will get really good at like getting an eye for a shape of an image. But that jump between the very sketchy look where you're drawing a bunch of lines to get a shape versus the next step of getting a clean line, it's just a matter of having some confidence in yourself and, you know, a little practice of being used to it. Because, like, I think there's a mental wall, and like I don't know if every artist, but I assume, because I went through that period of time when I was, you know, a newer artist, where you kind of just have to go for it, and it's not gonna look good, but that's okay. And once you start getting it to start looking good when you do a line, like obviously you see me restarting lines here. That's the advantage of doing digital. But you know, a lot of my lines that I'm restarting, it's because I'm kind of being quick and fast. Maybe be a little bit more deliberate. You're gonna be fine. But yeah, I think that's a pretty critical like stage that people gotta embrace as an artist. If you know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna assume that maybe either you're not an artist or you haven't reached a stage where you feel you're getting pretty good, but you're relying on a lot of rapid small strokes to build a line instead of one solid line. And like, when you go for like realistic or lineless and stuff, some of that practice and skill can help you. For me, lineless kind of eludes me. It's something I need to learn more of, but yeah. Here I'm being sloppy, doing a single line for the stripes instead of two, and not bringing it to a fine point. Yeah. Yeah, just getting in my stripes and whatnot. Oh yeah, right, I corrected the ear, because I didn't like how far the fold on the ear was down. That looks better that way, I think. More of the ear fluff visible. Adjusting the eyebrows. Yeah. I think the lines are probably just about done around now. I don't remember if there's any other things I do. Maybe oh right, the pants. Gotta put the belt loops in and whatnot. And then fiddle with the button for a while, I think. If I recall correctly. Yep. And yeah, of course, crease lines on fabric. Gotta make sure you got your crease lines to make sure fabric looks nice. I wouldn't say that I do the best job with that, but I think a lot of people who say they can't draw clothing, a lot of it comes down to either they don't do crease lines or they try and, I don't know. It's not so much about you draw the actual lines themselves. The lines you actually draw end up being sort of shadow, the shadows that form, as opposed to necessarily an exact sort of shape of those creases. And you're kind of just relying, at least for like when you're doing a simpler style like mine, rather than something super high detail, you're just letting people's mind fill in the gap. Where like, yeah, I could see shadow coming in there, and like when you do lighting, you can, if you're getting really detailed of lighting, you can reinforce this, where you make the crease lines like the darkest part of the shadow or something, and you build the shadow off of that. But yeah, you're really just trying to you're letting the viewer's mind kind of fill in the gaps on that. And I think, at least in my opinion, I think that makes clothing look a lot nicer. Obviously, you can also get textures and stuff to help with that, because it certainly will help. But yeah, it's not always totally necessary, especially if you're trying to keep things like flat color. Can't really do textures on flat color, unless it's something that's like very like deliberate, like if you're doing like a flannel or something. But yeah, it's just little tricks. I mean, a lot of times you'll see random bits of advice around online, and you know, most of it's okay. Sometimes I disagree with certain things, or certain tricks are more limited than maybe they're being advertised. Like one trick for keeping track of the length of your forearm versus elbow only really works if it's a side look, like any sort of foreshortening or whatnot, or the arm being at an angle can kind of throw that out the window, but it's handy for getting a good sense of the ratio between parts of your arm and whatnot. I know the arm probably looks awkward here, partly because it's just obscured by hair, so the forearm looks like it's getting really skinny fast. That's probably just I probably could have made it go a little deeper, but I wanted to have the effect of the hair beneath it, and like still leave a gap between the longer hair and the shorter hair on the sides of my head. So, yeah. I made a choice, and I don't think it's too bad. Not unless you look real close. It just looks like the hair is kind of folding up around the arm. Missing a stripe on the shoulder. There it is. Finishing up the colors, besides the pants. Still have to get to the pants. And also some cleanup work, but honestly, like, I'm gonna do my thing where my shortcut for most of the stuff. I just wanted to... It seemed particularly egregious on the beard, so I opted to manually fix a lot of that. Because when you just do it with like the black outline trick of mine, it does just fill in all those empty spots with black, not with the appropriate color. Which usually can be good, but if the gaps are particularly big, it just kind of looks like a blob of black and fades into where there should be color. Instead of just like slightly thickening the lines where there's gaps. Oh yeah. I do initially, like, I changed my mind about what the background, or even the theme of the picture is going to be, because I didn't know, I wasn't thinking about how I wanted to do the lighting until the idea struck me of like, oh, I could put a window right behind me. That would look cool. I could do some interesting effects of the lighting on that. But before that, I do this weird sort of like hallway idea. I'm like, I don't really want to draw a bunch of furniture, and then like an empty hallway is gonna look weird. So while I'm working on it now, I end up abandoning this idea after a short bit. Plus, like, I spent a bunch of time trying to figure out, like, okay, how can I make the hallway such that it doesn't make Luca look too tall or too short? So that's what I'm kind of, like, eyeballing out here. Like, okay, how does this affect the perceived height? And, like, I try to make him look shorter. I think overall one of the issues is that for my style, Luca's head is kind of small in this picture, and that kind of throws some of my perspective stuff off, because it's a slightly more realistic proportion head to body, which is I'm not used to drawing as much. I like a slightly larger head because I just think, you know, it makes me look shorter and smaller, which I like that look. A larger head to body ratio makes you think the character is bigger, whereas a larger head to body makes you think the character is smaller. And so I can have my fun with making me as muscular as I want, but as long as I have the head large to the body by ratio, it still keeps me looking short and small, which is what I want. Because that's just kind of how we process things, of like, okay, children or people with dwarfism, whatnot, or just shorter people in general. Generally, heads don't change size as much between short and tall people. It's just the body kind of gets bigger or smaller. So, without any context, having a body that is larger, or a head that is larger relative to the body, you assume that person is shorter. That's why, you know, when you see a picture of someone and you're like, and you meet them in person, like, oh, they're shorter or taller than you thought, a lot of the part that plays into that, like, oh, I thought you were taller, or oh, I thought you were shorter, is kind of that ratio of head to body. Anyway, I'm off on a weird tangent here. Sketching in the window here. I actually kind of am unsure at this point what color background I want. So I end up kind of spending some time pondering that, so this part sort of takes a little longer than I guess it's after this, once I put the lines in for the window. Then I get to that point where I'm wondering what color to use, and I think I go to, like, what is it, coolers.com for, like, building color palettes and stuff. Maybe that's cheap, I don't know. I go there occasionally. I go there occasionally just to, you know, flip through color combinations, lock in colors that I'm using, see what the various options that match with it quickly are. I mean, you can always do it yourself and build your own palettes and whatnot, but it's helpful. It's helpful to get some ideas of where to go with things. And, like, I end up fiddling around with a few different colors before I settle on what I'm trying to go for, which is actually ends up merging into a different color that also suits the image. That's more muted than I would normally do, but, you know, yeah, it's worth a shot, because having a more muted background helps make the higher contrast, my higher contrast self pop a bit more, I suppose. We'll see how it performs. I'm not hyper invested in this picture doing super well, because again, it's not a particularly long piece. I think what the proper recording is about an hour, so this is about a half-hour video. Maybe it's a little longer than that. it's obviously more detailed because I'm drawing full body instead of just the head. I end up drawing the window backwards here, where the bottom part is out and the inner part, or the upper part, is in, which is the opposite of how I'm used to windows being laid out. And I realize this and invert it in a moment. Yep. There we go. That's more correct, because, yeah, generally the window lock is sitting on top. I don't bother. I mean, that's obscured by my arm anyways. But yeah. Honestly, the angle between my body and the window is a little bit off as well, but I could just be leaning backwards a little bit. I figured that mentally that's kind of what I'm thinking is happening anyway, so I'm leaning back a bit, and so that effect kind of works. Really, I should have bent angled the hips a little more to give the impression of like being closer to Luca, the viewer being closer to Luca, so that it would make a little more sense for the lean, but I mean, I wasn't really thinking about what the background was going to look like, or how close or far you'd need to be away, but so that's a little bit of a mistake, but oh well. I'll do better in the future. Oh yeah, right now I think is when I'm over on Coolers or whatever it's called, one of the color palette websites, looking up colors and such, so probably a slow moment. Yeah. I don't know if I can skip ahead in OBS or not, so we'll just wait it out. I don't think it takes super long. Because we are on ×2 speed as per usual. Yep, okay, I'm back. Fiddling of colors, I can see. Let's see, how's this go? I guess I start with like a sunny orange-yellow. Fiddling more. Yeah. Leaning more into the orange. No, maybe, nah. Also, I'm gonna have to go in and like fiddle with the lines because of the windows. Clearly the lines did not connect in the back like I wanted them to. So I have to kind of brute force that. Looking more at like a pink here. Or light red. Something melon, I guess. And then I end up not sticking with that because I shade it so heavily that it ends up being more of a brown by the end. Which is fine. Okay. I'm doing something now. What was I doing next? Am I gonna color the windowsill? Maybe? Oh, I think I'm probably grabbing another color. We're looking at more colors to try and... Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Time to go fix the colors not connecting. And again. Yep. I could have just hidden the color layer when I was doing the background, so I could have seen whether the lines were connecting behind or not, but oh well. It's not a big issue either way. And I'm going to want to take those white or like eggshell window, because it's that color because it's just kind of be light. You can't really see out the window. It's too bright. Because I'm going to use that as the only shading, or the only light source in this picture. Yep. I used several different dark layers, both over Luca and also behind him, and kind of play around with the lighting a little bit for this picture. As you will see. the background slowly turns darker and darker from melon to, it ends up, what you would call it at the end, like an umber? I don't know. I don't know color names. It's not there yet, though. I haven't added enough layers for it to be there yet. Oh, okay. Sorry for the creaky chair, I just had to adjust myself. Yeah, doing a variation on my normal lighting. I end up actually kind of using the shade layer more as an opportunity for do lighting. And then I actually just, when I do an actual lighting layer, it's more just highlights. But I'm kind of using the shades more as like an opportunity to do like negative space lighting. Like on the pec there. And the abs. Yeah. Decided to let a little light in there, past the arm. And here we do the actual, like, highlights here. Stuff that's gonna get washed out by the bright light from the window. Which is only gonna work if I go and delete that area from the actual shading that's over everything. Which I do right there. Now it's popping through a lot more. And now I start fiddling around with all the different layers and applying blurs and whatnot. Gaussian blurs are my best friend when it comes to doing my sort of hybrid between cell shading and normal gradient shading. I mean, it's my trick. If you do it, it will end up looking more akin to my style, because I think I kind of have I think I've developed kind of a distinct style to my lighting from doing this trick, because it's a weird compromise between two different styles, and personally I like it, and I've gotten good feedback on it, so I'm gonna keep doing it. But yeah, like here, I'm just doing straight up a little bit of gradient lighting, or airbrush lighting, or airbrush shading, just to add a little extra darkness. But, like, only a little. Like, just down the center of my chest and, like, under the hair on the face. It gives it a little bit more of a richness, I think, to the shading there. It makes it feel a little more dynamic, while you still have the crispness of the edges. I actually don't think I even bothered, I think I kept them fully crisp. Like, the only gradient on that is the anti-aliasing of my brush, of my pen brush itself. Yeah. Now I think working on the background lighting. I could have gone into more detail, to be honest. Like, I didn't really shade underneath the windowsill. I should have, but whatever. You probably didn't even notice even if you looked at the final image, because it's not that significant. I mean, maybe you did, I don't know. It's not where my eyes go on this picture, though. I probably should have done it, because it does, on retrospect, it does look kind of flat there. But, yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay. Also, as you might notice, this is a square image, and the final image is not. I do cut in, because there's a ton of empty space on the side. On the right side, especially. I'm like, well, I might as well make use of, like... Either I make use of that space somehow, and I didn't really have anything I wanted to put there. Or I just cut the image down and make it a bit thinner. Oh, so I do work in a smaller canvas this time. 2K by 2K, because that's like my default settings, and I forgot to change it. So I think the last picture was 4K by 4K. Oh yeah, I do this whole trick where I'm just trying to help make sure I pop a little more from the background without making it too much. It's a soft glow. And I fiddle with the settings exactly how I want to accomplish that glow. And yep, grabbing the watermark / signature, because I don't really use it as a watermark, because I don't like, I get paranoid that I don't want to obstruct people's view, but I wanted them someplace where you can't really cut it off. And yeah, there we go. Now I'm adjusting the size. You can't see it here, but I am looking at the width, and I'm trying to get it to 1500. So it is now 1500 by 2000. And now I'm putting some colors in the background to see if there's anything I like a little bit better than what I had. I think I ended up very close to where I was, but it's just a little bit more, like, it's a little bit richer of a background than I had previously. It's like I'm zeroing in on a color here. Yeah, you can kind of see me flicking back and forth between it there. I've applied a, what was it, 39% orange overlay to the melon background with all the other shading and such. So I guess we're cantaloupe now, if I added orange to melon. And yeah, there's the final image. So that's another one of these time-lapse commentaries out of the way. As always, if you want to commission me, I will have I'll have my links, my link tree in the bio, or yeah, in the description. Feel free to message me on Discord or join my Discord channel. That's also how you can get access to the Minecraft server if you guys aren't sure how to do that. The link is on the in my Discord, because I don't want bots just scraping links. I want to be able to vet people to a certain extent. Like, I'm not stopping you from directly going straight into Minecraft once you have the IP, but I'll know you joined the Discord. And if a bunch of people start joining, after one person joins the Discord, I know they gave out the link. So, yeah. But yeah, that'll be it. I figure if anyone is interested in commissioning me or something, the best way to contact me at this point, I would say, is Discord. I probably would also do email, because ultimately I do like using email a little more, but you're gonna have a better chance of getting a hold of me on Discord, because I check that more frequently. I check both, but yeah. But yeah, okay. I'll wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I plan on continuing to do more of these, probably drawing some higher detail images in the future that are going to require probably a longer commentary at 2x speed, so maybe I'll figure out how to speed those up more than just like playing them in OBS, because OBS can only do a 2x. But that's a problem for another time. For now, that'll be it. I'll see you guys next time. Later.